questions.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe, we're, 5 days away from opening day now? 5 or 6 days, and it's come fast. Obviously we just we got 2 more guys back, Zoom and Christian Nitu in the last, day or two. And so it's been good to have, some bodies. We were able to play, 5-on-5, in practice for the first time in a while. We kind of blew them out a little bit today with tomorrow off, and a couple of you guys were there, saw ball flying all over the place, but as expected. But I'm proud of our guys' effort. Obviously, we had a scrimmage against Boise State, which was tremendous for our team because it exposed some things that we knew we needed to get better at. But until we can really play 5-on-5 and kind of get after it, but it was great, showing film, being able to see, how hard and how physical they played and how they go to the offensive glass. And then there were some really good things that we did too. But situationally, we learned a lot from, playing at the end of the first half. You guys didn't obviously see it, but we fouled 3-point shooters. Then we gave up a 3 because we had a turnover. So, in the last minute of the scrimmage, we gave up a 6-0 run. So instead of being up 2, we're down 4, or up 3, we were down 3 at halftime. And those are the little things that, with a lot of young players like we do, even though we did get a lot of guys in the portal, like we're still pretty much freshmen and sophomores, until we get Dez and Kamari back and Jacob. But the team that's been playing has been a lot of freshmen and sophomores. And so, proud of those guys and grinding through, kind of that next man up mentality of, in practice, especially with Coach Q and Abdul having to step in and, put their old shorts and shoes back on and just to help us so we could practice. But it'll be fun getting to play against somebody else next week.
Offensively, defensively with Boise State. Well, offensively, defensively with against Boise State, what were you most happy with, and what is it you need most work on?
Yeah, I mean, offensively, they do a great job, man. I think they're like 50th in the KenPom, and they're big and physical. They're built like a Big Ten team, from point guard to 2. I mean, they're 2 and 3 are both 6'7", 6'8", 230 pound on the wing. So it was good for our guys to see. But we got a little sluggish offensively. And they did a really good job, like walling us up, making us score over. And we did a good job at times, but there was a lot of times like we left a lot of points on the board. Like we got to be able to finish over guys. And then another negative, we missed 11 free throws, and 3 of them were front ends of one-on-ones. And so really we missed 14 free throws, which we got to clean up. And then defensively, it was more like us getting in great shape. Like our transition defense wasn't great on misses and turnovers, which we got to clean up. And then on the offensive glass, they exposed us. They got really physical, and their habits were right. Like they're 3, 4, and 5 go to the offensive glass every time, and they make you box them out, which is a great lesson for our guys because that's what we're going to see from this point forward.
Do you think you'll get Dez and Q back next week?
I think so. I think they, Q got a little non-contact stuff today. Dez is still out. Hopefully by Friday or Saturday they're both on the court.
And then, just is there any positive of just sort of having this adversity early? Like maybe the idea of the younger guys getting some time on the court and just having some adversity kind of early in the season.
Yeah, no question. Because like I said, it gives them a chance to show something. Jossier and Cortland. They had to play under the lights against UNLV, and play against big physical team like Boise. Even Bryson, like playing, different spots, the 2, the 3, the 4, and playing a lot of minutes. Good for JJ. He really hasn't had a sub. And so, playing when he's tired, seeing a bunch of different ball screen defenses, saw a zone already, so, those guys, Hannes got double teamed every time against Boise. And so it's good for those guys to see it in a live action against somebody other than ourselves. And, and hopefully it pays dividends down the road.
And then just, obviously you had the exhibition and you had the closed-door scrimmages. What do you think your freshmen will look like when it's for real now? When it's like everything counts and now they're playing in a real game in front of fans and everything?
Yeah, I think, like JJ and Hannes, they've played such high-level basketball. They're not going to be shocked on Monday, just like they weren't against UNLV. Like, they just go and play, and they make the right basketball play. Cortland and Jossier haven't had the experiences those two have, but I love their athleticism and how they just kind of fly around, and they make stuff happen. And my whole deal is like telling them to just stay aggressive. Like if you're going to make a mistake, make that thing aggressive, and make it on the offensive end rather than the defensive end. But I don't think, they kind of all have their own little swag. Like they're not afraid of the moment, our freshmen.
You mentioned the runner guys around a little bit extra at the end of practice. Where do you feel, especially compared to last year, your team is in terms of conditioning and physicality?
Yeah, conditioning-wise, we're not even close. Just because, we've had 6 guys out, and a lot of them, like Kamari's hamstring, he can't run. He can't do anything, so it's hard to get in shape. Christian Nitu was out with, 3.5 weeks to a month with a broken toe. He couldn't condition. Zoom with a concussion for 3 weeks, couldn't run. And so like that stuff's hard. And that it's not their fault. It's like now we gotta get them back into shape. Now that they're healthy. But our pace, even in practice today, like we're walking the ball up the floor too much. Because they're dead tired. Like I said, today was the first day we'd gone 5-on-5 in practice. But now we gotta get that out of them.
You mentioned the versatility of Bryson Tucker as well. Trying him out at a couple different spots. How have you seen him grow just as you continue to throw more and more at him?
Yeah, he's improved a ton, through the summer, like just learning a different style. He's been somewhere every year different, and so he has a bunch of different styles that he's been coached to play, and now he's a smart kid. He's getting the hang of how we want to defend in our rotations. He's done a much better job, especially in the last 2 to 3 weeks of, being physical on his chest ups, because he's 6'7" and long and really bouncy. And when he does that, he's really hard to score over. But him just really being aggressive and just he has another gear, and that's what we keep telling him. Like you're almost letting yourself off the hook. Play with reckless abandon. Offensively, fly to the offensive glass. And we really, not just him, but challenged the whole team. And yesterday, was probably his best day going to the offensive glass. He had 3 or 4, offensive, tip dunk or offensive putbacks, offensive rebound, kicking it to a teammate for a 3. He made a lot of stuff happen because he is so quick and athletic. Now he's just got to do that every possession, because when he does, he's really hard to defend. You probably saw in the UNLV game, he's a great mid-range shooter. He hit a couple of those corner 3, and he's shooting the ball well from 3 and playing with a lot of confidence there too. And like I said, he can play so many different positions and be effective at all of them, especially on the offensive end.
You still looking at mid-January for Jacob?
Yeah, early to mid-January. Hopefully he can recover a little bit quicker. Like I said, that was a big loss, because he was just coming into his own, and he's him and Kamari have been shooting the ball better than anybody, since we got him in June.
With Hannes, he's still young.
Mm-hmm.
How did he handle those double teams, and is he experienced enough? I know he's played at high level,
Mm-hmm.
but can he handle that? How well did he handle it?
Yeah, he handled it okay. I thought defensively he was much better against Boise than he was against UNLV. Guarding guys on the perimeter and keeping guys in front, and we really challenged him to do that, and he was tremendous. Offensively, they made it hard. They were physical. They bodied him. He had a body on him at all times, and then they would come and double team him. They double teamed all of our post guys down on the block, and we had a couple turnovers, and we had to correct it because we hadn't had a chance to do it in practice live. We kind of walked through some things, but it was great for them to see it live. And even the turnovers are correctable. We didn't have our other guys wheeling into their vision to make the pass easier for them. So it was a great learning experience for our team. But Hannes, he handled it really well. I think he only had 1 turnover.
You got 3 games kind of just, it almost seems like back to back to back.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, you're not easing into it at all. Can you maybe give us a little bit of preview of what to expect coming in from the teams coming in?
Yeah, we got 3 games in 6 days, and it starts on Monday with, Arkansas Pine Bluff, who we know they're going to be athletic. They're going to play hard. They're going to fly around, and, we'll see zone, we'll see man, we'll see a bunch of different things, probably similar to UNLV. And so we got to be able to handle that. We have to do a much better job taking care of the basketball, getting a good shot on the rim. And then Denver, they're going to shoot a lot of threes. They have a brand new coach who brought a lot of guys with him, so they're going to have continuity. And they're probably going to be a little further ahead than most teams of, executing their offense and defensive because of that continuity. And so we're going to have to be sharp that game. And then obviously everybody knows what Baylor does. It's, They'll be a top, 15, top 20 team, and they'll be unbelievably athletic and play unbelievably hard. And so, we got our work cut out with all three of those games.
Coach, I always kind of wonder, when you're in the season, you play a game and then you review it and then you get on to the next one, right? When do you start looking at opponents in the preseason before your first game, and certainly with a big one looming in game number 3, I just wonder, maybe how you divvy up and how you start to prepare for opponents when you haven't played a game yet.
Yeah, a lot of times, like even in the summer sometimes, or early, September and October, like we'll run an action that Pine Bluff may run. Now, our players don't know that Pine Bluff runs that action, or that Denver runs, or Baylor, Washington State, Oregon. Like we may go through like one of their favorite actions, and that way when we go through the scout, starting on Friday with Pine Bluff, like, oh, well, we've already seen that. Oh, we've already seen this out of bounds play. It's like, okay, well, yeah, this is what Pine Bluff runs. And so, trying to just kind of give them the answers to the test, but not necessarily say, okay, this is what Nevada's going to do. But it's more like, hey, we're going to see a bunch of different teams that run the ball screen continuity mode. Wisconsin's going to run it. Baylor may run it. And so practicing it early on, and that way they have confidence, and it's not the first time they've seen it when we jump into the scout.
And then what's important to see out of your team in the first couple games before, the schedule starts to ratchet up?
Yeah, effort and intensity. We have depth now, and it's you might play for 2 minutes. You might play 90 seconds. You need to play as hard as you can for 90 seconds and call yourself out. We should see a bunch of fists on Monday night because they're so tired after playing 90 seconds or 2 minutes. Christian, show a fist. Okay, Frank's coming in. Frank, play as hard as you can for 90 seconds, and Hannes is coming in. And it's almost a revolving door, but if we can keep that pressure on Pine Bluff's 4 and 5 men with our fresh guys, keeping running at them, and we're playing as hard as we can, over time it wears you out. And I saw it with our team last year. We didn't have depth in the post last year. And when teams are just constantly running, Michigan's got Vlad Golden coming at you, and then they got Shedder coming at you, and then Danny Wolf, like, at some point, it's just like your dude's exhausted and they got a fresh body coming at you. A lot like football. They're subbing in D lineman after D lineman after D lineman to put that pressure on a quarterback, and that's the depth that we have, hopefully, that we need to keep on teams.
Like that right there. Like in that first game, I think you used the term like the bullets in the chamber type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
What type of buy-in does that take though? Like from your players, and you've been talking about that, sort of a while now, that it's going to take some buy-in for everybody to like get into that. You may not average 20.
It's going to take a lot of sacrifice. In order for us to win, we have to sacrifice. Like Des Claude averaged, 16, 17 a game last year. Wesley Yates averaged almost 15. Kamari averaged 18. Jacob averaged 18. Both were player of the year. There's not enough balls to go around for all those guys to average those same stats. So now, okay, the only one I think that got to the NCAA tournament last year was Jacob. Okay, so now everybody's goal should be to get to the NCAA tournament. If it means Des averaging 12 and 5 assists, I guarantee he'll do that in order to get to the NCAA tournament. I guarantee Wesley will, and that's what we've been challenging our guys with. Are you about winning? Are you about stats or are you about winning? Okay, because all of us, we should have a chip on our shoulder to get to the NCAA tournament. Our staff, every single one of our players. And that's the main goal, and we've tried to hit that every day. And it'll come out, like especially now that playing time's going to be divvied out, and we're not in practice where 10 Huskies are on the court going 5-on-5. Like now it's only 5 of us. Now, are you prepared to sacrifice for the betterment of the team? And the selfishness will weed itself out. And I'm looking for it every day. And once I see it, I got to eliminate it.
Do you have a lineup in mind, and do you have a rotation in your head right now?
No, not right now. Hopefully after, the first, kind of 4 or 5 games, hopefully it starts to resemble that. But I can see this team being a team in the non-conference where we're still playing 9 or 10 guys, and, giving guys more time under the lights to see what they're made of. Because like I said, there's guys that are practice players, and then there's gamers too. And there is a lot of guys that play different when the lights are turned on.
And then just the idea of your identity. Is there anything right now that you can say that this is what we're going to hang our hat on? Like this is what, we may not be doing it great now, but at some point in time, this is going to be our thing.
Yeah, I think being a lot more aggressive offensively, playing faster offensively, in transition, like getting to the offensive glass, like we should be flying at the offensive glass, being aggressive this year, like getting extra possessions. That's going to be one of the biggest keys for us. And I got a lot of guys that want to shoot the ball. Like, you want to shoot the ball, go get the offensive glass. Like that's how we got to create more shots. Playing faster has to create more shots. Defensively with our intensity and depth, like we should be able to play harder and pick up full court. Now we got to do it without fouling. We have to be aggressive without fouling. But those would be the two main differences. I wouldn't say differences, but like that's what the identity of this team has to be.
Yeah, I just had just this quick sort of one, and it's kind of off topic on one topic, but I just want to ask about the idea of recruiting the G League. Did
Yeah.
you know that was a thing? And
Not until probably when you guys found out on social media. Yeah, I mean it's hard to understand, but like right now in college athletics, I'm not shocked with anything. I'm really not. It's disappointing from a standpoint of, like if I'm a parent of a high school kid, like it's gonna be like COVID. Like there's gonna be seniors that just don't get opportunities. And we've turned into a professional sports in college. Like that's, people can say what they want. That's what it is. Now, like I said, I have nothing against the kids in the G League or pros coming from, like when they come over, that's the rules. Why wouldn't they try to do that? But now how are we going to differentiate between what's pro? Why can't an NBA player come down here and play if they've only played 2 years? But we're going to let somebody from Europe come over here that's played 2 years and have 2 years eligibility. Professional basketball is professional basketball, And so, I don't know how they're going to get a handle on it. Now, yeah, we have to recruit those kids too. If we don't, we're going to play against them, but yeah, I mean, it's just hard to see, like, kind of where our game's gone.
And again, hindsight, but would that have changed? I mean, because you guys did have an open roster spot, like, oh wow, I didn't know that I can go to San Jose and see what they were,
Yeah.
Like, would that have changed things? Or?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily, because I gotta be careful because I don't even know if I can comment on somebody that we took, but we do have a player coming in here, which is a position that we needed with the injuries that we've had, and just really talented kid.
I asked Mitch if you could talk about the guy coming in December, and
Can I? Yeah.
he said you can. Can you talk
Perfect.
a little bit about?
There it is. There it is.
The boss said yes.
Yeah.
You talk a little bit about that and how that works with the roster numbers.
Yeah, and so we were able to obviously we had our roster limit of 15, but with the season-ending injury to Madi, we were able to replace that because now once the season's over, we'll lose some seniors, which opens up that roster spot since Madi can't practice or do anything all year, and so that's the only way we were able to do that. Now Andy Hill, my assistant, is the one that saw Nicola, as well as a lot of other schools. I mean, you name it, they were recruiting him. The best teams in the country that needed a big guy. And so we were very fortunate. Obviously, he knows Hannes, which there was a connection there. But I think, he really fits our other bigs, too, because he's different. I mean, he's 6'10". He's very, very skilled offensively. He can shoot the basketball. He can really pass. He can score the ball one-on-one. So he's very talented offensively. Like I said, I've just watched a bunch of film. I haven't seen him in person. Andy saw him in person, but he fit exactly what we were looking for, and we fit what he was looking for from a stylistic standpoint. The success that me and my staff have had with European players, whether it was at Montana State, Utah State, and now here, that helped us. Now we hope he's a great player for us.
Is he 4-5, stretch 4, or figure
Yeah,
out when he gets
probably. He's more of a stretch 4, He can play some stretch 5 at times, but like he's really talented offensively.
He's you said size-wise 6'10".
Yeah, 6'10", probably 235, 240. Like, yeah, he's not a skinny kid. He's a good sized kid.
Okay. And his strengths again?
Offensively, like shooting a basketball, his skill level, similar to Hannes, like he can really pass, he can really play one-on-one. He makes you come double him, or he's going to get a good shot up. Like it'll take him some time, like adjusting to the athleticism and the physicality that when he gets here in December, he's going to see right away. Because we're going to pretty much be into, the Big Ten schedule. So it's not like he's not going to get broken in with any scrimmages or exhibition games. I mean, he's going to get thrown right into the fire. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly, before we can really get him onto the court.
That was kind of going to be my question. How different would this situation be compared to Dominic Diamande last year, where you wanted to take it a little bit slower and see what he was able to do in practice before throwing him in?
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, Dom got here about a month later than he'll get here. Dom, I believe, joined us on the Michigan trip, so it was probably like January 7th or 8th, and so, I mean, he'd missed a lot more time, 4 or 5 games in that stretch. For when Nicola gets here, I think December 10th or 11th, it's almost a month difference. And so, I mean, by that time, we'd already pretty much had everything kind of solidified rotation-wise, and Dom still had to learn all the plays in the defense, so it wasn't even fair to put him in.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just you said throwing Nicola right into the fire. Just with a new ruling that came down, where they're going to keep the eligibility as it is. I know with a senior it would be different than playing the younger guys, but does this give you more incentive to just go ahead and burn the red shirt of all the young guys?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Like some of the guys, like if they're going to play, like, yeah, they just got to play, but like you said, I think you're talking about the ruling where it's probably everybody's going to get 5 years. They'll probably December, January, I don't know when they announce it, but I think they did say, like, for the kids that are in college now, that it doesn't apply to them. Is that correct? And so, yeah, so I don't think so, because I think, still we have some young freshmen that could benefit from a redshirt year. I mean, they really could, because if they're not going to get the minutes to really progress in their development, then it's better to save that year. But with Nicole, like I said, and it's no guarantee he's going to play. Like, Jacob's going to be coming back. Christian Nitu's, like, he's just starting to get his legs under him. Like, we still got Lathan, we still got Frank, we still got Hannes, and so we still have depth.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet.